Ningguang is the greatest 4-star character, no cap. What's up Genshin players, Shin here, and in today's video I'm going to be doing a showcase of my main DPS build for Ningguang because it has been highly requested on my TikTok and Discord community. And if you're new to my channel, which you probably are because it's my first YouTube video, welcome, hi, I'm Shin, and I like to share Genshin tips on TikTok and Discord. I'm also a 100% free-to-play player who mains Geo, that's my favorite element, and I do plan to upload weekly YouTube videos, so feel free to subscribe if you want to support me, and if not, that's cool too. Timestamps will be in the description box if you just want to watch certain parts, so without further ado, let's get into it. So Ningguang is a Catalyst user and does pure geo damage only for all of her attacks, and she uses a Star Jade system, which are those little golden rocks you see floating around her. And to get a single Star Jade, you just need to use a normal attack, and you can hold a max of 3 Star Jades with any constellation except C6, which allows you to hold a max of 7. Now these Star Jades will remain present even if you use Ningguang's Elemental Burst, and the only way to get rid of them is by using her charged attack. This actually activates one of her passive talents called Backup Plan, so basically whenever Star Jades are present, regardless the amount, her charge attacks won't consume stamina, and they will also deal a little bit of extra damage to your charged attacks, which is very nice. Another amazing feature of Ningguang is her Jade Screen, and there are several benefits of utilizing it, the first one being another one of her passive talents called Strategic Reserve. So basically when your character passes through the Jade Screen, you get a 12% geo damage bonus that lasts for 10 seconds. But this is a geo bonus, so it's only good for geo characters. The screen also deals massive damage to enemies when you summon it, as well as it protects you from enemy projectiles like arrows or Ruin Hunter blasts as long as you're behind the screen, and its protection is absolutely amazing. The Jade Screen does scale with Ningguang's HP, but in my opinion you don't really want to build her with HP because the screen is already pretty strong. And you actually want to summon the screen and then break it, because when you use an Elemental Burst, the screen will actually shatter and deal additional damage to the enemy. This brings me to the final key point in Ningguang's kit, which is her Elemental Burst Star Shatter, which as the name suggests blasts a massive attack of homing projectile gems at enemies. It has a pretty decent cooldown time of 12 seconds and only consumes an amount of 40 energy, which is crazy low and almost nothing. Moving on to artifacts, there are 3 potential main DPS sets that you could run, and I've pretty much tested them all out. I do plan to make a separate video for artifact and weapon comparisons, but for now I will just briefly explain the key points for each set using this simple diagram. So feel free to pause the video if you want to take a better look at it. The first set is a 2-piece Archaic Petra and 2-piece Glad, and basically you get a 15% geo damage bonus from the 2-piece Archaic set and an 18% attack boost from the 2-piece Glad. This is what I personally run and what's being showcased in the video, and this set is particularly good if you want your Ningguang to be a well-rounded damage dealer because she does pure geo damage, and this set basically boosts her geo damage and overall attack stats as well. The next set is a 4-piece Retracing Bullet, which gives you better defense and a slightly stronger normal and charged attack because you get a 35% increase in shield strength as well as an additional 40% attack damage for normal and charged attacks when protected by a shield. However, if she has no shield, she has no 40% bonus, and her Jade Screen is not considered a shield, but you can overcome this by having teammates with a shield such as Zhongli, Noelle, or even Ziona. The final set is a 2-piece Archaic Petra and 2-piece Noblesse Oblige, and this is more of an Elemental Burst Ningguang as it will make her Star Shatter do a little more damage because she gets a 15% geo damage bonus and a 20% Elemental Burst damage. If you don't have access to the 2-piece Archaic Petra, you could also substitute it with a 2-piece Glad if you prefer an attack boost over a geo damage bonus. So when it comes to artifact stats, this is what I focus on. Again, I'm using the 2-piece Archaic Petra and 2-piece Glad because I wanted my Ningguang to be more of a well-rounded damage dealer. So for main stats, the Flower and Feather are always going to be fixed. HP for the flower and attack for the feather. And as for the hourglass, I go for attack percent just because Ningguang is your main DPS, so you want her to be dealing the damage. And as for the goblet, you want to definitely do geo damage because it's the only artifact where you can get an elemental bonus. Lastly, for the circlet, you want to do a crit rate or crit damage main stat depending on your weapon. In my case, I didn't have a good crit rate or crit damage artifact, but my substats actually had decent crit rate and crit damage percentage, which is why I equipped attack main stat for my Ningguang circlet for the time being because I just didn't have a good artifact. As for my Ningguang stats, they are pretty decent despite my poo-poo artifacts, and she's currently level 80. I don't have the resources to ascend her to 90, and she has 17k HP, 1800 attack, 575 defense, and no elemental mastery because she's a geo main, so I don't really need to use elemental reactions for her. As for crit rate and crit damage stats, I would like to at least have a 1:2 or 1:3 ratio, but right now I'm only at a 30% crit rate, which is coming all from artifact substats. I'll show you my weapon afterwards, and for crit damage I'm at 130%. Preferably I want at least 60% crit rate and 200% crit damage, but farming for good artifacts isn't easy. And my energy recharge is currently at 146%, which is more than enough because in my opinion anything above 140 it starts to plateau and you don't really see much of a difference in how fast she can regenerate energy. Lastly, for geo damage, I have 79%. So this is my Ningguang's overall stats. They are still pretty decent despite not having the greatest artifacts, and with these stats, she was still able to deliver big damage on the battlefields and was able to carry me in the Spiral Abyss through floors 9 and 12, which I will showcase at the end of the video. Moving on to weapons, I currently run the Black Cliff Agate, and it's also the weapon that I used throughout the video to showcase damage. Right now it's at level 80, refinement rank 1, and this is a 4-star free-to-play option that you get from Paimon's Bargains. I really like this weapon because it has a base attack of 449 as well as a second stat of crit damage of 50.3%. Another bonus is that after defeating an enemy, Ningguang's attack is increased by 12% for 30 seconds, and this is good for Ningguang because she's my main damage dealer, so she's going to be killing enemies and always getting that attack bonus. I actually don't have many weapons, but there are a few that I would consider running if I owned them, and I've prepared another little diagram just to highlight what these weapons are. So essentially all the 5-star weapons are good for Ningguang, but you can only get them from the gacha. And the 2 4-star weapons that are in the gold bracket, the Solar Pearl is from the Battle Pass, which is a really good option, but since I'm free to play, that's already out of the options for me. So the Black Cliff would be the next best thing. And then if you don't have any of the 5-star or the 4 stars in the golden box, I have this little gray box, which are good alternative weapons as well. Moving on to Constellations, Ningguang is good at C1 and even better at C2. So at C1, her normal attacks deal AoE damage, which is very nice. And at C2, you're allowed to put down another jade screen after it's shattered, and this can occur every 6 seconds. I actually have my Ningguang at C3, but you definitely do not need her at a C3 constellation to make her a beast. And as for C4 and C5, they're nothing too special, just a slight increase in the damage of the jade screen. Lastly, for C6, it's just a very nice bonus, but definitely not required for Ningguang to be broken, and it's just an increase in the max amount of star jades from 3 to 7. When it comes to team comps, you definitely want to have another geo unit for Ningguang, because having 2 units of the same element will help speed up the amount of energy particles you regenerate and also let you take advantage of the Geo Resonance Enduring Rock. And after the 1.3 update, the Geo Resonance got a pretty nice buff because shield strength was increased by 15%, as well as whenever characters are protected by a shield and are dealing damage to enemies, the enemy's Geo Resistance is reduced by 20% for 15 seconds, and the amount of Geo damage dealt is increased by 15%. What this means is that whenever you have 2 Geo units present and you are protected by a shield, the enemy's Geo resistance is reduced and the amount of Geo damage dealt is increased. I would suggest running Zhongli or Noelle just because they are Geo units with a shield, but Albedo or the Geo Traveler do work too since you can still generate crystallized shields with them. As for the remaining 2 spots on your team, you can almost do anything since Geo doesn't rely on creating elemental reactions. I tend to go with a Pyro and Cryo unit since I like the melt damage, specifically Xinyan as my sub DPS and Chi-Chi as my healer. Sometimes I will swap Xinyan with Bennett if I want an extra attack boost, but another good pairing for Ningguang would be a Cryo and Hydro comp like Kaya and Barbara or even Xingqiu, because then she can take advantage of the freeze and shatter damage. But honestly, since Geo is going to be your main damage dealer, it really depends on your playstyle and whatever units you have available. The last thing that I would like to note about Ningguang is that she's more of a glass cannon unit, but if built right and paired with the right units, you can minimize the amount of times she gets down. How I like to do this is by having a shield unit such as Zhongli or Noelle and a really good healer like Chi-Chi or Barbara. So in conclusion, Ningguang is an absolute beast on the battlefield and definitely a unit you should consider building because despite being a 4-star character, she definitely delivers damage like a 5-star. And if you watched my video until now, thank you so much, and as promised, I will now be showcasing the damage of my Ningguang build. I will list the location and if there are any buffs on the bottom left. Mind you, the Spiral Abyss has buffs of its own, so damage will vary. If you did find this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe because I will be uploading videos weekly and it will really help me out a lot. Also, if I missed anything, I will pin it in the comments below, and if you do have any questions regarding my build or suggestions for future videos, do leave a comment and I will do my best to get back to you. So thanks again for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you in the next one.
Your life is mine. Give up. Don't waste my time. Give up. Submit.
Order guide you. I will have order. Gather.
Witness the power of God. Wheel of life. Give up. Submit.